I really thought this was normal, but so many people are telling me I'm a witch for not doing so that it's starting to mess with my head, to be honest. I recently received a house. My grandmother passed away and left her 2 houses to my sister and me. We sat down and between the 2 of us, decided that she should have the bigger house as she's married and has 2 kids and another on the way, while I would move into the smaller 2-bedroom house. My sister's husband has been added to the title of her house as he helped pay the tax on it. I could pay the tax on mine by myself, as it was cheaper due to being smaller. My boyfriend, 3 years, didn't contribute financially towards it, so I didn't think to put him on the title. We had a housewarming party last weekend, and his parents came up to me towards the end of the night. They were going on about how lucky boyfriend and I were to be able to live somewhere like this rent-free, and it gives us such a head start in life, and they were very appreciative that I'd given half the house to my boyfriend. I corrected them that I hadn't, and he wasn't on the title, but was welcome to live with me and not pay rent, so that he had more money to put towards his studies. We're both master's students. They immediately became very judgmental, saying that I was being unfair not putting his name on the title, and that clearly I didn't expect the relationship to last. I didn't trust him, etc. I say they were unfair, and he wasn't entitled to half of my family's house, and then walked away. Now numerous family members have messaged him and me, saying I'm a witch and I don't trust him, and tell him to watch out because clearly I don't love him, etc. I brought it up with him on Monday, and he said he feels like it's a sign I don't trust him. So I said I wouldn't add a man to the title unless we were married, and he paid for half of the rates. He said that he feels like I'm blackmailing him into getting married. I said I wasn't. I just wouldn't want to make a massive commitment, like giving him half my house, without some commitment from him. And he said to just drop it, because we're never going to agree. So let's just leave it so we don't argue. So, am I the idiot here? LOL, not the idiot. Greed is one of the 7 deadly sins. Your grandmother passed away and left you her home. Your boyfriend's not entitled to a damn thing. Your sister chose to add her husband to the title because he's accepted financial responsibility for their shared family home. Why on earth would you add someone you're dating to the title of your home and give him 50% equity in a home you inherited? The key phrase here, numerous members of his family have messaged me. Your boyfriend did not contribute to the house, and it's your inheritance. He should be happy that he doesn't have to pay rent. The vast majority of the adult world still has to make payments in the form of rent or a mortgage while he gets a gravy train. If he's not happy with the very generous offer you've given him, kick him out. He will add to the wear and tear of the home that is your responsibility to upkeep. Block his family. Exactly, about his family asking. Of course they'd be stupid if they didn't try to milk this in favor of their family member. Notice it's not your family. OP, you're not married to him. Even if you were, he should be able to respect whether you add him or not, as it's an inheritance. Please do yourself a favor and do not, under any circumstances, add this dude to the house, married or not. Or if you do get married, at least don't add him initially. Don't get into a state where you're the one who has half a house to lose, should he decide all of a sudden he wants to be married and then run. Please don't do this to yourself. The fact that he didn't defend her from them is a big sign. Even if he disagreed with them, and he's wrong in this case, he needs to be able to step up and tell them to mind their own business. I think OP should heavily consider a prenup. If people overreact to that, then maybe you shouldn't get married yet, or ever. I, 24 male, used to live in a 4-bedroom house with 2.5 other roommates. Bree, 22 female, J, male toddler, Alex, 27 male. Now, Bree is a single mother working in a customer support job, and Alex is a paramedic. Alex and I are not the biological father of Bree's son. I don't know who is, but from what Bree says, he's an idiot and deserves to be 6 feet under. I moved out of the house since I've switched companies and make twice as much as I used to, and have decided to live by myself. So a few days ago, I got a message from Bree saying that she needs child support money. I thought it was a joke, and assumed she sent it to the wrong person. So I said, "LOL, girl, wrong number." She then said, "No, my name. I'm serious. I need child support money right now to pay for blah, blah, blah." I then told Bree that I would not pay child support money as I'm not her baby's daddy. But if she needs to borrow money, then we can work something out, but she will pay me back. She then wrote multiple paragraphs of text saying that her son imprinted on me and considers me a father and that I need to be a good role model for him. I left her messages unread and immediately messaged Alex about what was going on with screenshots, and he was also bewildered. She hasn't talked to him about money yet, but I thoroughly warned him, so he's staying at his sister's house for now. She's still blowing up my phone and threatening a lawsuit for child support and has been calling me all kinds of things. I feel terrible since I care about her son, and he's literally a baby, but I am in no way or shape his father or have any kind of responsibility to him. I know she doesn't make much and is living paycheck to paycheck, and I'm open to lending her money, but this makes me feel incredibly weird. Am I the idiot for not giving child support? What? This is freaking genius. I will find a rich man for my kids to imprint on. Not the idiot, OP, and cut this unstable woman from your life. I wouldn't lend her any money based on her twisted sense of entitlement. A judge will laugh her out of court if she attempts to go to court for this. My God, ask her to Google what child support means. It sucks that she's a struggling single mom, but she should be sending these messages to the actual dad, or even his parents, not her former roommates. She's broke, financially and mentally, it would seem. She found out he makes more money now and she thinks he's a bank. She thought she could guilt him into paying with the imprinting bit, but I guess she had to look that up. She's a few crayons short of a full box. OP, please don't lend her money either. If she's threatening a lawsuit, she could use that money you lent her as some sort of child support agreement. Keep your status as roommate status. You don't owe her anything. I understand that this will be hard, being there's a kid involved, but she needs to take that up with the court and her baby daddy, not you. Just piggybacking here. Giving her money, even just lending it, could land OP in hot water. It could be construed that he feels a sense of obligation to her and the child, which could be twisted in court. There's a precedent in some places where someone who's not biologically related to a child is on the hook for child support if it's seen that they've supported the child previously. I'm not saying that this is what'll happen, but if we go by her mental gymnastics, it's not a big stretch to worry that giving money could be twisted as such. OP is not the idiot, but needs to be careful. I, 21 male, have been planning and saving to go on vacation to a popular vacation spot with my girlfriend since senior year when we first started dating. I've been saving money for years to give me and her the best possible experience. Finally, I have the money to book the trip now, and after planning, I've also decided I wanted to propose to her when we went, so I bought her birthstone with diamonds going around the ring. I put the ring on my dresser, and I saw my mom wearing it about a week ago. She thought it was a gift for her because it was her birthstone. I took the ring back and explained my plan. She was sorry and very happy for my girlfriend and me. Then she asked when the proposal would happen to clear her calendar. I was confused and told her a week after my girlfriend's birthday. Anyway, I forgot about her asking when 2 days ago, she asked me, did I book the trip? I said, yeah. Then she asked questions like when the plane was leaving, what hotel, what we planned on doing, etc. I told her everything and she asked whether I had booked an extra room for her. I told her no and asked why she thought I would. Well, she said because that's also her birthday month and because it's such an important moment in my life and she wants to be there. An argument happened afterward, ending with her telling me I don't appreciate and love her and that I'm a terrible son. She called my aunts crying. One of my aunts also posted about sons hating their mothers on Facebook, and my mom commented about me. I'm honestly so stressed about the situation. I understand wanting to be there for such an important moment, but I also want it to be my girlfriend and me. I also can't talk about this to anyone, since the majority of my friends and close family know my girlfriend, so help me, strangers of the internet. Am I the idiot? Edit. I grew up with my dad because my mom left to go to the US. She brought me over when I was 12. Not the idiot. Your mom is making this about her, but it isn't. It's about you and your girlfriend. She's already just taken the ring. She assumes way too much. You don't want this to continue, so you must lay some boundaries. The first is that she can't come with you guys on the trip. She needs to back off. She's your mom, not your other girlfriend. If you let this continue, your girlfriend is always going to be competing with your mom. It'll only get worse if you guys decide to have kids. And why, when OP's 21, is she going through his room to find the ring on the dresser in the first place? She just went into OP's room and took the ring, assuming it was hers, and then wants to go on the engagement vacation? What the heck? Not to mention her birthday month. Even little kids don't get birthday months. OP's mom needs to learn some serious boundaries. Wow, dude, your mom? Run. No one sees a damn diamond ring in their son's dresser and thinks it's for them. Heck no, weird. No sane mom demands to go on their engagement vacation either, and she will 100% wear white to your wedding. Run. I know it's your mom and all, but you do better with dad. Kinda roll with that. I honestly feel like he's underreacting. No sane mom of an adult son with a girlfriend thinks that a diamond ring on his dresser is for the mom. And even if you do, which is insane, you just take it? You don't wait for your son to give you the engagement ring? Yuck. It's so bizarre I can't get past that detail. I just have to assume that anyone who thinks like this is insane. I am a 20-year-old college student who doesn't live with my dad anymore. So I support myself with work and the savings I have, also by sharing with 3 friends, LOL. My dad is married to Jenna. Jenna has a daughter, Lee, and a son, Kyle. Lee is 18 and Kyle is a young teen. Lee had a baby 4 months ago. The father's not in the picture, and they're trying to get child support out of him. However, it's all on Lee, my dad, and Jenna to figure babysitting and other stuff out. I had a weekend off a couple of weeks ago, and Dad asked me to come home and babysit Lee's baby because they were all busy and needed someone to babysit her kid. I told him I didn't want to babysit and that I would chill for the weekend. He was like, all right, fine. Then Jenna called me and told me I'm the baby's aunt, and I'd never met her, and my sister needed me. I said that was their thing to figure out, and I reminded Jenna I don't have a sister. She told me I have since I was little and should treat her as such. Then Lee called me and told me she was going to drop her kid off at my place for me to babysit. I told her she would not, and if we found a random baby dropped off at our door, I would personally call the police. She told me we're meant to be sisters, and I'm meant to give a crap about her kid. I told her it was funny she expected me to help her out in a sisterly way, but she's never been forthcoming about helping me out as a sister. Her response, I'm older, so it's my job. I ended her call. The weekend has been and gone, and I'm facing the wrath of Jenna and Lee now. Lee told me she hoped I caught herpes for being so unhelpful. Am I the idiot? I'm allergic to small children, I swear. You are not the idiot, OP. These people are ridiculously entitled. If you want a favor, you ask nicely. You don't make demands and guilt trips. I hope you enjoyed your weekend. I'm baffled by the I'll leave my kid at your house response. Like, honey, you're the one dumb enough to get knocked up, so why do I have to pay for it? You did right to say you'd call the police. You have to be adamant about that, as it seems she's the type to do that because she doesn't believe you'd go ahead. Her entitled behavior and comments to you mean that even if you had time in the future to help, you never should. There were 3 adults who live in that house. Why in the world do they need to drop a baby off for the weekend? Sorry, Jenna and Lee, it's their problem. Enjoy your life. Some folks show you what they think of you when you only become family if help is needed. So do yourself a solid and plan a little vacation for any upcoming family holidays. It amazes me. People don't tell their kids what my parents told me. If I had a baby, I was on my own. No help, nothing. They didn't want to raise my kid. Consequently, I knew I wasn't going to have a baby until I could handle it on my own. Now your dad and stepmom will thrust this job on anyone but your stepsister. This happened this weekend. I, 28 female, have been married to my husband, 30, for 6 years. We don't have any children. This weekend, we were visiting his family. He's the oldest among his siblings, with 9 of them, 6 brothers and 3 sisters in total, the youngest being a teen. Everyone lives with their partners or roommates in rented or owned accommodation, except the youngest and 2 brothers, 23 and 26. Every other weekend, they all come around my mother-in-law's house together with their partners. So 16 people this weekend, including my father-in-law and mother-in-law. Unfortunately, my mother-in-law wasn't feeling well on Sunday, so she stayed in her bedroom to rest. She normally does all the cooking in the house. When we visit her, we make sure we also go shopping and buy groceries and snacks for the family. I also ensure I get separate food for myself, as I have a lot of allergies, intolerances, and dietary requirements. Most of the time it's not an issue, as I just put my food in the oven when the cooking's almost done, or eat later. Sunday morning came, and I was about to make myself some breakfast when all my in-laws and their partners started moaning that they were hungry, including my husband. He can cook and does it well. I've reminded them that they know where the fridge and the oven are, but apparently they were too difficult to find. So they begged me to cook something for them, and I had no choice but to agree, expecting them to help me since, they are adults. It took me 3 hours to prepare food for them, and they were moaning about having food at different times or the food getting cold. It was simple eggs with bacon and some toast. After I finished and started making food for myself, all I wanted was to eat as I was super hungry and have a nap somewhere as I was exhausted from all that cooking. Halfway through my meal, one of my sisters-in-law approached me and asked why I was making more food and not washing the dishes. I was taken aback and asked if she seriously wanted me to wash the massive pile of dishes and pans after all this cooking when at least 15 other adults in the house were perfectly capable of doing it. My sister-in-law informed me that whoever does the cooking must do the dishes in their house. I got annoyed as I had just started eating my food and was super tired. I told her and my other in-laws that no wonder their mom is not feeling well after doing all the work around the house and getting no help from her adult children. I put my breakfast in a takeaway box, packed my bags, and left the house to drive home, as I was still expected to do the dishes. My husband stayed behind and hasn't returned. He and his siblings are calling me an idiot for driving away and leaving the dishes undone. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. And frankly, I'd be talking to your husband and saying that this made you realize how incredibly rude all of you were being to his mother. Everyone should have cleaned the kitchen for mother-in-law way before this, insisting she gets a break. Weird that it took 3 hours to make simple bacon and eggs, so maybe a bit of an exaggeration from OP, but I still wouldn't be the idiot for not doing 15 plus people's dishes after cooking for them all. What kind of logic is that? If you're kind enough to cook a meal for us, you'd better clean up after too. It's outrageous that nobody even offered, honestly, and to demand you do it when you finally sit down to eat after everyone else? Yikes! You don't need to apologize to anyone, but it might make sense to call your mother-in-law and explain the circumstances to her. I bet she got lumbered with the washing up, poor woman. Not the idiot, and it sounds like your mother-in-law and father-in-law raised a bunch of dependent and incapable children who aren't self-sufficient. How do they survive on their own? And they couldn't even appreciate what you did do? This family sounds very entitled and like a misogynistic one from the 50s. When I, 23 male, was 15, my dad died, and my mom, 45, didn't wait too long to start over and moved her new partner in just 2 months later. My dad left everything to me and not even a dime to her. They were not married. My dad's will was so structured that she couldn't challenge it, and she attempted and even asked me to pass over one of my properties to her to show my new dad that he was welcomed. I couldn't even if I wanted to, because my dad's will specified that I must be 21 to access everything he left me. This dude had kids, 18 male, 19 female, their ages now. and my mom prioritized them to keep him happy. I mean, she wasn't like a bad parent or neglectful, but she tended to favor them. They went on trips, and even if she didn't tell me not to go, she'd say something between the lines of, "Wouldn't you like to go to your grandparents? My dad's. Better?" I mean, I'm not stupid, and I know she didn't want me there. When I turned 17, she asked me to leave my own house because I kept fighting with her dude, and I also reminded him of whose house it was when he wanted to play the man of the house. I also called him Johnny Conroy. My grandparents told me to avoid confrontation, so I went to live with them. My mom would visit me often and tell me how much she loved me, but she needed to keep peace at home. After college, I decided to check my properties and the one where my mom lives. I wanted to renovate it to rent it since it's a good one and can help me afford my master's. I went there to inform my mom, but no one was there. Later, I found out they went on vacation, so I called her, but she didn't answer. So I proceeded to change the locks, mainly to take possession officially. They arrived yesterday and couldn't get in. Of course, they called me, but I wasn't in the town. I went today because some renovation work will start in a few weeks. I was in the backyard and my mom came in furious, yelling at me, saying, "How dare I do that?" So we talked, and I let them know they had 2 weeks to leave. Her husband, an self-employed, was furious. My mom and her stepdaughter started crying because the girl was pregnant. I'm sorry, but I made up my mind. My mom's family is shaming me, but I'd like to know if you think I'm the idiot. Edit. I own the house, and I'm the one who's been paying the property taxes every year. My mom called me today saying we could talk. Not the idiot, because you were kicked out of your own house and made a secondary priority as a child. As an adult, you're now doing what you couldn't do then. Ensure you're doing everything legally so they can't make things harder on you. I'm wondering if your father knew something, and that's why you got everything. Also, OP, even if your mom's stepdaughter is pregnant, she, and all of them to be honest, isn't your responsibility. OP, you were charitable enough to let them stay until you were 23, when you could have easily kicked them out 2 years earlier when you turned 21. So they need to take responsibility and be thankful that you were graceful for this long already and not attack you over it. Be wary of them destroying the house in revenge, OP. I just thought I'd throw that out there. He tried by calling once and showing up at their door while they weren't there. That isn't much, far from an official letter with receipt proof or anything. It doesn't even seem like he left a voicemail when he called. And usually you change the locks after the tenant is gone, not while they still live there and have not been evicted yet. So you are the idiot, OP. The mother and stepfather likely have squatters' rights and tenants' rights that dictate whether or not you're allowed to change the locks or renovate, how much warning you're obligated to give them, and what constitutes reasonable steps to have notified them. This isn't my house, my rules. It's what a landlord can legally do when their property is under tenancy, and that's well beyond what we can talk about here. Agree. Major red flags that she's treated you like rubbish over the years, but when she needs a place to stay, she's happy to leech off you? She's an adult. She made her bed, so she shall lie in it. You are not responsible for her or her husband, and I'm sure they're fully capable of working. Sorry for the pregnant lady, but at the end of the day, these are your assets and home. Go no contact if you can, and tell her where to go. You're not her bank or provider. That was her job, and she failed miserably when she basically excluded you in favor of her new family. So, okay, she was happy with them. Well, she can stay with them, and they can all be happy together in their homelessness. Let me preface this by saying that I, male 30, lost my wife, 33, to cancer a few months ago. She was too weak for chemo and chose not to complete her treatment because of how difficult it was for her. Everyone thought she was making a mistake, but I supported her decision, and it allowed us to spend some time together before she eventually passed away. My family knows how I feel about it, and vice versa. That's why they rarely bring my wife up in conversations, but they disagreed with her decision to stop treatment. My brother's 34 wedding took place last week, the first major event without my wife, and I hesitated a lot but decided to come and show support and share his joy with his bride and the family. We were having a good time, and I admit that I felt a lot lighter and enjoyed my time till my brother decided to give a speech. He talked about the family being present and how happy he was to have everyone he loved there. Then suddenly brought my wife up. I shook my head, signaling for him to drop it, but he went on and said, "It's really sad that my wife's name isn't here with us today, but it was her choice not to be here with us today." I was floored, like completely dumbfounded and shocked. Mom looked at me eyes wide open, and I instantly replied by yelling, telling him that he was an idiot and that he should have never mentioned my wife or even said her name there and then. After that, the family tried to calm me down as my brother started arguing with me, saying that I was out of line for insulting him when he was just trying to make a tribute or whatever for my dead wife. He said, "Your dead wife." I argued back and then decided to leave. My parents tried to get me to stay and not further embarrass them, but I left eventually. They called me later and were fuming, demanding that we talk about how I flew off the handle and made a scene and called my brother names at his wedding for honoring my wife. I refused to respond to them, but Mom has been pressuring me to visit and apologize to my brother for this misunderstanding if I want to keep having a good relationship with him. Am I the idiot? Soon as I read, "But she chose not to be here with us today," I couldn't believe my eyes. Oh my God. You flew off the handle for a good reason. Who wouldn't? Why would he say that? Tribute? That's not a tribute. That's him throwing his awful opinion in front of everyone, hoping you wouldn't say anything just because there are eyes everywhere. Not the idiot whatsoever. If he was planning on mentioning your wife in any context, he should have discussed it sensitively with you beforehand and said no more than you agreed to. He should never have blindsided you at an event and should not have editorialized about her passing. The day they understand your reaction is the day they will wish they did not understand it. There was no need for him to say those things. He could feel how he wanted to feel, but he had no requirement to do it. He did it because he wanted to. He wanted to get in front of the family and say, "I disagree with the dead woman." He did it because he wanted everyone to know. Screw him. My heart aches for you. What a colossally insensitive thing to say, and so very soon after your loss. I think you should take whatever time you need to process your grief for your wife and the hurt your brother caused. If that means you don't speak for 6 months, then that's what that means. Your brother especially, and the rest of your family owe you a massive, sincere apology. They may have all sorts of opinions about your wife's decision, but none of them were in her shoes, or yours. They could have the decency to just stay out of it, but they didn't. Hope you've got some lovely friends who've got your back through this. I'm so sorry your family's such a collective of tactless idiots. Some background. I have 4 kids. My eldest, John, 27 male, was with my first wife, who died when he was 5. I eventually remarried and got 2 stepdaughters, Lisa 25 and Ann 18. Then my second wife and I had Mike, a young male teen. My wife and I made sure to give them comfortable lives. When John and Lisa graduated from university, we gifted them condo units. We will do the same when Ann and Mike graduate. Also, they all have trust funds that will be released when they turn 30. I'm pretty proud of my kids. John and Lisa graduated from top universities. John has a high-paying job as an engineer, while Lisa pursued a master's degree in business while working in marketing. Eventually, she started her marketing consulting firm while being a part owner of a spa. John recently got engaged to his girlfriend of 2 years, and they want to get married by the end of this year. She seems nice. However, she doesn't earn as much as him. My son spends a lot of money on her, on dates and on expensive gifts. I understand it's his money, and he can spend it however he wants. She also moved in with him in the condo that I gave him. As far as I know, she doesn't pay her share of utilities and association fees. And now John is asking to get a part of his trust fund to use for the wedding since his fiancée doesn't have much money to contribute to their wedding. Now, here's where I might be the idiot. I told him I'd release part of his trust fund early if he drew up a prenup with her. He got angry and told me I was unfair because I released half of Lisa's trust fund last year to help put up her business. He told me that I was playing favorites. I told him that Lisa did something worthwhile with her trust fund, and while a wedding is worthwhile, I told him it doesn't seem safe to use his fund for a wedding to a girl who doesn't bring much to the table. I told him I just wanted him to have some security by drawing up a prenup. He got angrier and said I was implying that his fiancée is a gold digger. My wife and the rest of the family refused to take sides. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. So he's done everything you've expected, and you're really going to try to force him into a prenuptial? I understand your position, but if he loses the money, that's on him. So just make it clear that you won't bail him out. You are the idiot. I grew up relatively poor. My husband comes from a very wealthy family. Everyone called me a gold digger. We're happily married, and now I make more money than him, only by a few thousand. Am I still a gold digger? Or is my husband the gold digger now? Plenty of people are gold diggers, but making less money or coming from less does not automatically make you a gold digger. Having a prenup isn't a bad idea, but the way you talk about everything in this, it is obvious that you only care about money. You're the only one who cares. We have no clue what anyone else thinks or how they are because you only talk about money. Not the idiot. Why would premarital assets be shared? Once you're married, you're a team. Of course, any financial success your son may have after marriage would almost certainly be achieved in large part thanks to his wife's support. But gifts given from loved ones, why would that be a joint asset? Update. The next day I had a long conversation with my son. First, I apologized to him for making that comment about his fiancée. I realized it was demeaning and uncalled for. Second, I asked about their living arrangement. He did admit to paying for everything, including bills and food. He even pays for someone to clean because neither of them would. I asked if she ever offered to pay and he said no. I told him I have nothing against their arrangement and spoiling her, but he has to be wiser about his spending habits. I explained the importance of a prenup and said I had one with his mom and stepmom. He still refuses to because according to him, it might offend her. Again, raising some flags. So I will stick with my decision and release his trust fund when he's 30, as we initially agreed. He wasn't happy with this. Lastly, I asked what kind of wedding they plan to have, that they felt the need to use his trust fund. She dreams of having a big wedding on the beach. She also wants a photo and video production to announce their engagement, which I find ridiculous. They want it this year but can't afford it, as she's only paying for her wedding dress. And my son admitted that he doesn't have a lot of savings, probably from going on expensive dates and trips. So I told him it's not practical, but if they really want it, they should wait and save up for it. At that point, I felt better about my decision not to release his trust fund early. The way I see it, my son could go broke in a few years, paying for everything and spoiling his fiancée/wife. Their trust fund is the last thing all my kids will get from me. That being said, I may be an idiot, but not a total idiot to not support his wedding. My wife and I agreed to give them a certain amount that should cover a lovely venue and still have some leftover amount left for other expenses. It'll be our wedding gift to them, and if he's still not happy, then there's nothing more I can do. If they go no contact or low contact, I'd still feel at peace with my decision. I provided for him, and I tried to protect him. If she leaves him and he ends up losing everything, I'd hate for that to happen, but that's on him. But I do hope their marriage works out. Thanks for the update. The real question should be, how can he and his fiancée not have money for a wedding when they have a paid-for condo? He has a high-paying job, and she works too. How much is this wedding they're planning? Like Justin Timberlake and Jessica Biel style? I mean, I had a decent-paying job and a house payment and saved a nice chunk of change for a decent-sized wedding with some planning and budgeting. I think they need financial literacy more than a prenup. Am I the only one concerned that if what OP says is true about his son's fiancée not paying for utilities, etc., is in fact concerning? I always pay my fair share because I'm an independent adult, and marriage doesn't change that. Also, why such an extravagant wedding if she can't afford it? If your son screws this up and you bail him out, you will not be doing him any favors. Whatever the outcome, he needs to be on his own. Hopefully that means he'll be happily married, but I'm not sure that'll be the case. My 34 male sister gave birth 2 months ago. She brought the baby to my wife in my 23 wedding. She breastfeeds whenever she goes. We visit her house and she breastfeeds in front of us. Visiting our parents, she breastfeeds. Going out in a public setting, she'll sit on a bench in the park and breastfeed. Go out to a restaurant, she breastfeeds. Everywhere. I've never spoken about it because I know she'll get mad and offended. But when she did that at my wedding, I lost my cool. During the reception dinner, she just did it again. So I kindly approached her and asked her why she didn't bring formula or at least bump milk out and put it in a bottle so she wouldn't have to do all this at that moment. She said, "Because I don't have to. I feel comfortable breastfeeding. Getting milk out on my own is more painful." I said she could make this sacrifice and compromise for one day instead of doing this in front of 250 guests at my wedding. She then said she couldn't do much about it now because the baby had to have her milk. I told her she should be more thoughtful of that instead of thoroughly embarrassing herself and us. I told my wife the deal, and she said I'm an idiot and should immediately apologize to my sister. Unfortunately, my parents also sided with my sister, and now pretty much everyone thinks I'm an idiot since I'm the only person who had a problem with it. I decided to call her out because I considered it bad etiquette and tacky to do that at a formal event, and that she could find another solution for that night. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. I'm assuming you fed your guest. That includes your nephew. Did you ask all the other guests at the wedding not to eat too? Your sister deserves a hug and a thank you for making an effort to attend a wedding with an infant. He should have made everyone just eat the same way. Okay, everyone, we've provided a thin blanket for every guest to place over their plate and head so you can privately enjoy your meal. The other option is to go eat in the bathroom. Happy meal time! You are 34 and your wife is 23? Imagine marrying a woman 11 years younger who's still more mature than you. Madness. God, what is it with all the guys who marry women younger than them? They all seem to be immature and controlling in the same way. Everyone thinks you're the idiot because you're the only person who had a problem with it, and they're right. The only tacky person with bad etiquette is you.